Good afternoon, everyone. So happy that you're able to join us. Tani and I have talked about this for quite some time now, about just kind of getting together and doing a little bit of a coffee talk. And so we figured, what better opportunity for us to kick off this series than International Women's Day? So this year, the theme for International Women's Day is Accelerate Action. And who better than for us to learn from than the one and only Tani Austin herself. So we're gonna sit back, we're gonna relax, we're gonna have an informal, fun talk, getting to know each other. Cheers on our inaugural Coffee Talk Day. So to kick us off, if I may ask a few questions of you. You have been such an inspiration for me, and I've watched you from afar for so many years. And I remember when I came into the position of Chief People Officer, and it was the first opportunity that I had where I got a chance to kind of take a peek behind the curtains. And I remember the moment that hit me when I suddenly realized, oh my gosh, it really is family first. It really is heart and serving others. And what you have shown me that I think is remarkable, that I know so many of us know, but really want to highlight, is the support, the passion that you have for supporting women, the strength, and I think the power that comes with having a circle of women that support. So, to start, where does that come from?
I come from a very long line of strong women that I think it's almost assumed, that women are stronger than, most people give them credit for. And I see around the world, the women are the backbone of the families, of the business, of the caring, of the nurturing. And, I think, honestly, it's innate with me. My grandmother was the youngest of 12.
Jeez.
Sharecropper, family, walk behind the wagons, everything, born in the early 1900s. And she was a midwife at 12.
Wow.
So she was actually in charge, at that age. And I feel like that's where, I come from. And so I naturally gravitate, expecting that of other women. And I think, when you come in with a determined assumption that someone can do something, they step up and step in instead, because you naturally, highlight them. And so I feel like I elevate women naturally, because they're go-to, around the world in all of the work that I've done. And we have just some unbelievably amazing women in Starkey around the world in, running the facilities and running sales. And so, we at Starkey, believe in the women's ability to lead, and from the top, from Bill Austin, to Brandon. And I feel like, of course, I've had something to do with that.
A little
with Brandon,
something.
Because, he, have always walked side by side, never behind, never in front, always side by side.
Yeah. Well, and if I can be candid, being in business as a woman, I think for so many years it was maybe instilled upon us, or misconception or a belief, that to be a successful woman in business meant you don't show emotion. You kind of come up and you show your strength. You don't show the nurturing side. You don't show the caring side. And I know for me, especially in my 20s, you look up to the people and, oh, that's what success means. And if I start to kind of emulate their behaviors, then for me, that will be successful too. And what I've seen so often is that there's almost like this armor that women would put on when they came into the business. And I think, the beauty of what you've afforded so many of us is the ability to bring our authentic selves. Right. You've never dimmed your light. You've always been you. Coming out of where you came from, and your mom being so strong, and the sharecropping, and the midwife, component, and growing up in the hearing aid business, how was that experience for you, showing up with your heart and showing that vulnerability?
Well, I think it was learned behavior, from my mother. She never let anything get in her way. She always thought she was better at what she did. It wasn't really a gender thing in the hearing aid industry because it was about the patient. It was, and frankly, she felt like she didn't have any competition because, it was so natural to her.
Yeah.
And so she, also, in the 60s, couldn't get a business loan for her own business. So went through her father. Her father had to sign for the loan, but she always figured it out. That didn't stop her, because her father had to sign the loan. She went ahead and did it. So she was always breaking down barriers. She was the first female president of the Hearing Aid Society in California, and in the 70s.
Yeah.
And so I naturally, never thought anything was a barrier.
Yeah.
So I just naturally followed that.
Yeah.
And Bill has always, never hesitated to put me, in situations and believe in me and, know that I'm going to do my very best. And, I think it's just your own, I don't know if you want to say confidence, but also not second guessing what someone else thinks about you.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And
have you always had that, or is that something that you developed?
No, it's pretty innate. It was, I was rough and tough in grade school. I didn't let any boys bully me.
Yeah.
I was right in there in the playgrounds, in the sports, in the, Billie Jean King was my idol in tennis. And, really always looking up and out and not letting anyone else define me.
Yeah.
And I think that came from my family because, what I said always mattered. It wasn't like, oh, go in your bedroom and be quiet. We were at the table. What we said was just as important as any friend or neighbor or business, like we were always in the conversation and around. And I think that, that is where that confidence comes from. It all, what I said mattered.
Yeah.
And my whole, you matter. Everyone matters. And so I think that I always just felt equal. I didn't understand the equality fight or the, women's movement because I never felt that way. Yeah. I never even thought about it.
Yeah.
And the hearing aid industry is just such a beautiful business for women. And, to me, 80% of the people in the profession are female, and it's just such a beautiful career.
Yeah.
So I was born into it. My mom's was in the hearing aid business since in 1958.
Yeah.
So
and
it could be just a little bit of luck. I don't know.
Oh, I don't think it's luck. I think it's who you are. And I think, one of the things that I've come to appreciate over the years is that we're finding ways to better, I think, celebrate differences. Meaning, when we think about men in the workplace, when we think about women in the workplace, rather than everybody showing up as the same, I think that we're better understanding and appreciating the differences that we bring.
You said at the very beginning, your authentic self, right? And I just think that Starkey just gives you such a platform for that because Bill has always, from the very beginning, 30 some odd years ago, has always just let me be myself. And I mean, in
Which
front
is
of presidents,
huge.
kings and queens, and, developing worlds, he never expected me to be anybody but myself. And I think that that's a culture.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely.
That's our culture.
Well, and that goes to, I mean, I've always said that being at Starkey, when people will say, you know, why have you been with Starkey so long? And it's because it's the first and only place I've ever experienced where I could truly be the best version.
Right.
Sometimes, you know, not always the best version of my
But play to
true
your
self.
strengths. Play to your
Exactly.
strengths, not worry about the weaknesses. What's your strengths?
Yes.
Right.
And what is the phrase that you use? I love it so much. And I'm going to mess it up, but it's something along the lines of, you just assumed everybody wants to talk to you. like, because I think it's so beautiful, because that's your little inner light that you shine.
I always used to say, you know, my friends used to laugh at me because I'm like, if you didn't know us, wouldn't you want to meet us? You know, because I've always just, you know, assumed that someone wants to know you, and it's actually the way I met Bill Austin at an airport.
Oh, will you share that story, please?
In 1989, he was at a gate at Northwest Airlines, and I owned my own business, and a $2 million a year business, and I didn't like the way that my manufacturer was treating my patients, not just me, but my patients. And I thought, that's Bill Austin over there. You know, I'm going to go ask what he thinks about it. And I'm like, oh, no. You know, and I'm thinking, no, he should want to know me. I own a business. He's a hearing aid manufacturer.
He should want to know me.
And so I walked over and introduced myself, you know, and Bill was busy with some paperwork and you know, didn't even hardly look up at the time. But then I think kind of caught himself and ended up, you know, sitting across from me in the airplane. We talked 3.5 hours all the way out to California about business. Yeah. And I thought, you know, it was the first time that I had ever heard anyone talk about service, quality, you know, the patient. You know, the manufacturer I was working for, it was about more stores, more marketing, more consultants. You know, it was more, and it was dollar driven. And Bill was talking about the patient driven, and it just lit something inside me, going, "That's what I want to do. Yeah. That's the way my mom did it. That's the way I feel." And I went back and changed my business.
You accelerated action.
I did, and you know. Started having fun again, started loving what I did, and you know, truly caring about the patient. Yeah. And it's the best way to be in this hearing aid business is to be able to serve the patient to the best of your ability. And I picked up on that right away.
Well, and
I always say it's like Dorothy. I felt like I was Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, working in black and white. And then all of a sudden it just came into living color, like these beautiful colors, because I started, you know, having fun and, like you said, celebrating better hearing and not doing the negative, you know, well, you can't wear it this long, you might not be, this might happen. You know, I was able to, you know, be excited about helping people hear.
And focus on
So
the
it was a
positive.
natural, you know, gasoline and matches. It was just explosion, and I started being very successful.
Yeah. Oh, because you were you, and he allowed that to come out. You allowed that to
I
come
was
out.
successful before Bill
Right,
Austin.
right.
I don't want to mean that. You know, I had a $2 million business, and I was doing the best I could, but I wasn't, you know, happy doing it.
Yeah.
And you know, so the definition of success changed.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To be able to
Which
deliver,
is everything.
You know, better hearing, and to be able to do what you're telling people you're doing and taking their money at the same time, it you know, felt better.
Yes. Well, and something that I have learned about you, and I've witnessed it from afar, now I have firsthand glance where I get to see this. You are all about creating a journey for so many. And I've always said you're a guiding light for me, and it's not just about you. I find that where you get your happiness from is when you're able to create that momentum And it's almost like the more that others shine, the more you shine.
Oh, I
and so
love
you
it.
create kind of like
Yep.
this collective thing,
Yeah.
whether it's Delta Zeta, International.
Yeah.
Talk to me about when you first started thinking above and beyond Starkey, and you started thinking, you know what, I think there's a movement that we can create here. How did that come to be as you started getting involved in international work?
Well, it was really Bill's vision, right? I've been the architect of Bill's vision. Bill had this vision of the hands of many. And, I have a high school education. I did not go to college, but I always wanted to be a teacher, right? So I set out and was the teacher, to the developing world on hearing loss, and hearing aids. And I did that in my business, pre-Starkey. We did a lot of training and built teams. And so I was always able to, as you said to me, it wasn't about me, it was about the team. And, Bill's definition was the hands of many. Well, the hands of many is the team, right?
Yeah.
So I saw Bill's vision immediately on the hands of many, with the Starkey Hearing Foundation around the world. And nothing gives me more pleasure than inspiring and, igniting that light in somebody else and seeing them succeed. It doesn't take anything away from me.
So
when you put your flames together, your flame gets brighter, right? And so, just igniting that flame in someone else is, to me, just the best definition of success that you could have. And to give them that confidence in themselves, is that accelerant, right? You want to talk about accelerating, and the international women around the world are so strong, and they're mainly in survival mode. They have developing world problems that we do not have in this first world, in this in our world. And they're carrying water, they're building fires, they're plowing fields, they're it's just amazing what they do. And I have one story in Malawi. I was sitting in the car, early one morning before we went to a mission. Why we went to this cornfield out in the middle of nowhere in Malawi. They wanted Bill to see a hospital project site. And so, he went on, and I sat, I just said, I'll just stay in the car. And because they were talking to the construction people. And I was sitting in the back seat, and I saw in the rearview mirror this woman walking down this dirt road. And she was coming towards me. And, so they'd left the car running because it was air conditioned. So I rolled the window down, and I had my phone, and I always ask if I can take a picture, because I don't just assume, it's not tourism, And so I showed her my phone, and I'm like this, and she smiled. She smiled this most beautiful smile at 7:30 in the morning in a cornfield on a dirt road. She had a baby on her back.
Oh my gosh.
She had a load on her head. She was carrying water. She was pregnant. And I thought, it hit me. Could I smile carrying that load this early in the morning?
Yeah.
And she's got a 14-hour day.
Yeah.
She isn't going to go home and put her feet up.
Yeah.
She's just started.
Yeah.
And that woman sticks with me.
Here's the tissue time.
That woman sticks with me because, we have all of our resources. We have everything almost at our fingertips. And, and we complain. Yeah. Why isn't this happening? Why isn't that happening? And I can tell you that they don't complain. They just add it on to their day, right? COVID, no problem. You know, Ebola, no problem.
Doesn't that
right?
say
They
something?
just keep going and, you know, and are so resilient. And so it gives us no excuse.
Yeah.
I just feel like I have absolutely no excuse. So I've seen so many women around the world like that in those situations, and they step up, you know. And so, you know, I bring them in, you know, around the world, and you know, we've trained so many women around the world in the hearing healthcare profession. And they're champions in their villages, in their community centers, in their governments, in their hospitals, and want to, you know, be the best and want to care for people. All they want is the information and the knowledge to do it. And so, you know, to me, you know, that's the greatest form of success, is empowering and inspiring someone else, you know, to be that that success.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because when you're, I think it's empathy, you know, there's no sympathy, you know,
Right.
but it's putting yourself in someone else's place and being able to feel what they feel and being able to contribute to their life, you know, at that moment.
Yeah. So for all the women that are watching around the world that look to you as a guiding light, as an inspiration, that are maybe just beginning in their careers, maybe they're finding their light, maybe they're learning how to be in their own body and really be them true selves, as because I think we get to know each other over time, right? And we get to know ourselves over time. What would be the advice that you would give?
Wow. You know, just in this short time,
Yeah.
you know, because the easy thing is be yourself, be your authentic self, you know, and everybody goes, oh, brother, you know, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to say what you're thinking. It's okay to be yourself. And people should want to know you, right? And so don't not step up and introduce yourself, because then that's your fault.
Yeah.
That's not their fault.
Yeah.
If you're not stepping up and being who you need to be, no one is going to do it for you. That's the butterfly effect, right? When you take the responsibility to step up, and just like that day I stepped up and introduced myself to Bill Austin, you know, and no, you know, thought whatsoever where it would lead my life, but I just thought he should want to know me. I own my own business, right? And so curl your toes, stand up, make yourself do it, and people want to know you, right?
Yeah, I think that there's so many powerful lessons in that. And I remember from the very beginning when I came to Starkey and learning and going through, you know, that age 30 transition where like, oh gosh, I can't be anything but me. And I remember always thinking to myself, so long as I'm speaking and leading from my heart, if I say something that somebody doesn't agree with, or it isn't in alignment with what you believe perception to be, what's the worst that's going to happen? And the reality is the worst that's going to happen is you're going to learn whomever you're speaking to or an organization, you're just not aligned. And if you're not aligned, why would you want to continue down that path, right? So it's a scary thing, but it also creates that level of acceptance where you realize, oh my gosh, there's so much more to this when I do speak from my heart, that we are creating that alignment, because you can't
And that's that outer shell that you talk about, that people try to pretend that
which is the worst thing ever.
Right.
So many of us have had that moment. I remember one of my first conversations with Bill, and well, Bill, I know you got really smart people around. I'm like, why am I trying to make him feel better about the group? Like, he doesn't need that. And I think that's the key difference, and especially with you, is whomever it is that you're not looking to make them feel better.
Right.
You're speaking from your heart, you're being a human and connecting with them on the human level, as opposed to telling them what you think they may or may not want to hear.
Right. Well, and you know, the other thing, Jessica, that I think is so important right now in the world is to de-escalate situations. Not just, you know, think about yourself, but I've been very purposeful in de-escalating situations instead of escalating or playing into someone else's, you know, escalation. and not just even people I know, but people I don't know,
Yeah.
you know, out in the world. And I think if people focus more on de-escalating
Agreed.
a situation instead of, you know, enjoying the frenzy
Yeah.
or the you know, TikTok time or whatever.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
I do.
Like they're looking
Well,
for things to
yeah.
show bad about people.
Oh.
And I mean, in airports, in grocery stores, in, you know, in wherever we are, I have made a real purposeful effort to de-escalate.
Yeah. I remember we talked about this, and maybe this was a year or two ago, and
This might be
it
a
was
different episode.
well, and it was related to, at a high level, Elton John and the work that you were doing, and we were talking about, you know, activism. And activism felt like, at that time at least, that, you know, you were putting somebody down, raising this up, or it was this side versus that side,
Yeah.
as opposed to how do we come
Bring
together?
people together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we can
Yep.
get so much more done.
Yeah.
Okay, speed round for you. Here we go. So I know that you love music, which is
Yeah.
so much fun. What is your go-to, like, pump-up song? Do you have one?
Oh, I have so many because I do music around the world.
Yeah.
I'm known for that and dancing because people dance around the world. And if you don't dance, they're insulted. So you've got to dance.
You're the first one out on the dance floor, always. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that comes from my family also. And, you know, my grandma always used to say, if you're going to make a fool out of yourself, don't hesitate. So I just always go for it.
Do you see why I've been accepted here? Like, I mean, hey, like, do not hesitate to make a fool of yourself. Like, you will make an impact.
Do it. Just do it right up front, right?
Yeah. Go for it. Dance like
yeah.
nobody's watching.
So, you know, we were just at Justin Timberlake's. You know, I got that feeling.
Yes.
You know, I love that song and happy. You
Yeah.
know, because I'm happy.
Yes.
You
Well,
know,
and you
we
will send
sing
me
that.
memes, like, to kick off my day with
Yeah.
a fun song.
Yeah, and there's this new one, you know, on the internet. You know, the guy dancing and he's rolling his shoulders. You know, Suki hat on. Yeah. And I just look at that and I smile.
Yes.
You know, and you know, Kanan's song, you know, from the World Cup song.
Yes.
You know,
I
the,
know exactly what you're talking
yeah,
about.
the champion song. I
Yeah.
love that song.
Yeah.
You know, because you inspire people by music. So, you know, I always get the students at the Starkey Hearing Institute in Zambia dancing, and it just lightens the air and makes them feel like, in fact, in the graduation in December, we were in the very, you know, government stage, you know, with all of the important guests and everything. And Alfred Mwamba, who runs the institute, got me because he played this song, you know, and he knew I would just explode and get up and dance. So I did, and I went down and danced with all the graduates, and all of the audience got up and danced, and then the important, you
It's
know,
so
permanent
powerful.
secretary and everybody was
Yeah.
dancing. And the permanent secretary of Zambia came up to me afterwards, and he goes, "Who are you?" He goes, "Why have I not met you before?" You know, because it just lightened everything up.
Yeah.
And the joy in life that you can
joy.
have every day if you just don't take things so seriously, even yourself.
Yes, you
right?
can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't take it
Yeah.
so seriously. Lighten up and have fun because, you know, every day's a gift and every day's a miracle. And enjoy each and every moment that we have to share. And I think that's just my philosophy, and that's why, you know, I just love walking into the cafeteria or walking into production and seeing everybody, because we all have 24 hours in our life. No one's life is more important than someone else's life. And that woman in Africa, she has 24 hours, and they're just as important as my 24 hours here at Starkey. And we all, you know, just need to enjoy life.
Yes. I can't thank you enough for
Well,
being,
thank you.
okay, here come the tears, for being who you are, a role model for so many of us. Your love, your acceptance of all, the light that you shine, the way that you make it real, the family that you have created. And this, we're not stopping here. This is going to be the first, I'll say it now, the first of many, because for so long I have wanted for everybody to hear from you in this manner and just who you are, the love that you exude. You're an angel here on earth. I'm sorry, you just are, and it's you're just an incredible gift to all of us.
And every coffee talk can't be about this.
No,
we're going to have
but
more
you are.
subjects.
But you really are, and I got to give you a hug because you are such a gift to all of us. I love you so much. Oh, you're welcome.